after leaving a number of smaller countries high and dry, China, the current villain in global politics, has now set its sights on Afghanistan, a war-torn South Asian country that has been facing increasing global marginalization owing to its appalling human rights track record. A prolonged stressed financial system has already resulted in widespread unemployment, economic deprivation, and high inflation in Afghanistan. China has latched on to the opportunity to gain a foothold in the devastated country. From oil extraction to lithium deposits, China is eyeing Afghanistan's both untapped and underexplored reserves and facilities. The Taliban, finding itself with fewer allies by the day, is blindly following Beijing, disparate for some economic assistance. While China insists its interests in Afghanistan are truly altruistic, experts and observers insist there are other interests at play. Join us as we discuss China's increasing interest in Afghanistan and how their debt-trap diplomacy can further impact a country already in shambles.
Foreign ministers of China, Afghanistan, and Pakistan recently met in Islamabad in furtherance of Beijing's unrelenting efforts to tap new investment avenues under its Belt and Road Initiative. Apart from discussing a host of regional issues including security, the three sides reached a unanimous agreement to further extend the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, to Afghanistan. Observers believe that Beijing is seeking to exploit untapped natural resources in Afghanistan, which have an estimated value of over $3 trillion. The country is rich in resources like copper, gold, oil, natural gas, uranium, bauxite, coal, iron ore, rare earth, lithium, chromium, lead, zinc, gemstones, talc, sulfur, travertine, gypsum, and marble. Earlier in January of this year, the Taliban-led administration signed a contract with China's state-owned company, China National Petroleum Corporation, to extract oil from the Amu Darya Basin and develop an oil reserve in the Saripul province. An Afghan official spokesperson, Zabihullah Mujahid, said on Twitter that the Chinese company will invest $150 million a year in Afghanistan under the contract. Its investment would increase to $540 million in 3 years for the 25-year contract. As Western aid dries up in Afghanistan, this is a win-win situation for China, which has major plans to invest in various sectors, including exploring lithium reserves.
They've initially promised an investment of $450 million, and in the first year they plan to invest $150 million, and these are in oil fields. Afghanistan has some oil which is unable to extract, which the Chinese will. Now, this is basically the China is testing waters in Afghanistan because Afghanistan has a lot of mineral reserves.
Why has China been granted such easy access to Afghanistan's mineral reserves? According to the Brookings Institution, the Taliban's rule has progressively hardened and become more authoritarian and dogmatically like their reign in the 1990s. Individual rights have been emboweled, and women's access to education, jobs, and even the public sphere for travel and medical care has been decimated. This has led to the suspension of operations by major international humanitarian organizations in the country. Foreign aid has nearly all but dried up. Almost half of the Afghan population was projected to be acutely food insecure between November of 2022 and March of 2023, with 6 million on the brink of famine. The deteriorating economic situation in Afghanistan has forced the Taliban-led government to let Chinese investment into the country. Security is the most important issue that China is currently concerned about in Afghanistan, especially in the most remote of areas. Major Chinese investments have been targeted by the Islamic State Khorasan province and other terrorist groups. On December 12th of last year, just a day after the Chinese ambassador, Wang Yu, met with the Afghan deputy foreign minister, Mohammed Abbas Staniksai about the security of Chinese investments. ISIS-K targeted a Chinese-owned hotel in Kabul, popular with Chinese nationals. Islamic jihadist groups, especially the ISIS-K, are targeting the Chinese for suppressing the Uyghur Muslim community and its imperialist policies like the Belt and Road Initiative. Although Chinese investment in Afghanistan is growing exponentially, the security of their citizens and workers remains to be a concern.
Chinese are very much aware of the threats posed by ISIS to its projects. So I believe that one of the things that Chinese would be expecting from the Taliban is to make sure there is a lot of political stability within Afghanistan and make sure that many of its projects are protected by Taliban.
According to Militant Wire, ISIS-K published an editorial in its Voice of Khorasan magazine last year, showing concern over Taliban-Beijing relations. The editorial even highlighted concerns on China's agenda of expansionism and colonization. Beijing is closely allying itself with Islamabad to engage the Taliban government in Kabul with an aim to gain easy access into Afghanistan. Chinese President Xi Jinping recently unveiled a grand plan of investing $3.8 billion USD for Central Asia's development, from building infrastructure to boosting trade. With its engagement in the region, China has put itself at the forefront of the race for political influence and energy assets in the resource-rich region, with Russia distracted by its war in the Ukraine and the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan diminishing the U.S. presence in the region. China's rise will bring new risks for the region, which India will need to remain vigilant and cognizant of.